Hello, I'm David Rose, and here's a look at some of the cases we're working on with Crime Stoppers for Washington's Most Wanted, starting with the search for two suspects wanted in an extremely vicious attack on an innocent victim waiting for the bus. Take a look at this surveillance video from a bus stop in the 3700 block of Rainier Avenue South in Seattle on March 6th. That's the victim looking at his phone. Now watch as the first suspect eases up behind him before exploding into violence, blindsiding the victim, knocking him to the ground, and then brutally beating him, all just to steal his phone. Here's a close-up of the suspect's face and his beard. Seattle robbery detectives are asking for your help to identify him. He's black, 5'11", with a medium build, dark clothing, and he was carrying a backpack. Police are hoping somebody recognizes him. And this predator was not alone. There's a second suspect you see there who was sitting on the bench. He got up to stop anyone from coming over to help the victim. Tonight, investigators say both of them need to be stopped now. Now, police had blurred out the victim's face in the surveillance video they gave me to protect his identity. But then this week, that victim agreed to talk with me on camera. He wants to share his story in hopes it leads to an arrest. This is how Xander looked one day after he was ambushed and beaten to a pulp.
Broken nose, this whole half of my face was all swollen up, and 2 chipped teeth.
He couldn't work for a week and is lucky his injuries weren't worse.
They x-rayed me and gave me a CAT scan, and they said nothing was out of place or anything.
Xander was waiting for the bus in the Columbia City neighborhood of Seattle at about 8:30 p.m. when he was brutally beaten and robbed. This video shows the first suspect say something to the second suspect sitting on the bench, likely what he was planning to do. A short while later, you see the first suspect posted up behind Xander. Did you even know he was back there behind you, kind of looking over your shoulder?
No.
In a flash, the first suspect starts punching Xander. The two of them fall, and then the beating continues as the suspect starts smashing Xander's face into the pavement.
Dropped my phone, but he didn't give up quite yet and kept wailing on me until I used the trash can over there as leverage to get away.
Even after he got your phone, he went back and he continued to hit you. Do you remember, was he saying anything to you?
No, I don't remember anything, but I think he was just silent throughout.
At one point, a passerby starts running over, but the second suspect got up from the bench and stopped that Good Samaritan from getting involved, telling him to back off, which he did.
I tried yelling for help, but I could see in his face he was kind of scared too.
You know, I've done a lot of these cases over my career, and this is one that sincerely infuriates me.
Retired Seattle Police robbery detective Merle Carner with Crime Stoppers of Puget Sound says they want to find these guys.
We're irritated. We want to know who these guys are because we want them in custody, and we want them now.
He says the two suspects either didn't know the surveillance camera was there or just didn't care.
Not only did they beat him up, but they come back and they actually stand there. I counted on the video. It's probably 30, 40 seconds while they stood there. So they had no concern over the victim in this case.
8 days later here at 35th Avenue South and Renton Avenue South, just a mile south of the bus stop, there was another violent assault. And detectives think it's the same two suspects.
You're going to see the victim walking on the sidewalk. Number one suspect actually kind of hustled by him. This is when the first assault took place.
As that suspect starts to punch the victim and then jumps on his back, knocking him down, the second suspect comes creeping up and then goes to steal the guy's wallet.
He comes up and actually holds the victim down while the other one puts the boots to him.
You can see him stomping right into the victim's face before both suspects run off north up 35th Avenue South, as the victim is left lying on the pavement with significant head injuries.
Broken nose, concussion, brain injury, lacerations, all of this for one wallet.
Now, Seattle police are comparing the two cases. The method in both blitz attacks is similar, as is the race, age, stature, and some of the clothing.
I'd say there's probably a 97% chance that these are the same two guys, which tells me it's a week between. They're probably going to continue because they scored a cell phone, they got a wallet. Who knows what they're going to go for next? We're going to offer up to $1,000 on each of these cases. All we need is information on who these guys are.
It's kind of weird that they didn't want to get anything else, just the phone.
Xander says he still needs dental work to fix his chipped teeth. He has to be careful with his hands because the beating scraped up his knuckles. They started bleeding during our interview. He's keeping a brave face about what happened and says the assault has left him much more aware of his surroundings.
I don't put my earbuds in, and I always look around now before I go anywhere.
Sound advice for everyone in this neighborhood until these two vicious suspects are caught.
I usually always respect the law, so I always want people who did a crime to get caught. To keep it simple, crime doesn't pay.
Well, Xander, we want to make sure that these two pay for what they did to you. This is a look at the first suspect. Police say he's black with a beard, in his 20s, 5 feet 11 inches tall with a medium build. He was carrying that backpack. Second suspect is black, 6 feet 2 inches tall, and he's thin. If you know either of their names, submit a tip to Crime Stoppers of Puget Sound right now through the P3 Tips app that you could download to your cell phone for free. There's a cash reward of up to $1,000 per suspect. You can also call 1-800-222-TIPS. It is anonymous. You know, after meeting Xander and watching the surveillance video of his attack, I just wanted to show this to you again. The first thing I do when I get a case is look at the video. Now, the detective had already gone through and blurred the video to protect Xander, trying to make him feel safe. Well, now that Xander's talked to us, I want to show you this whole video so you can see exactly what happened. Well, you see Xander walking up there, and then there is the first suspect, and he's looking around. Now, they are wanting just to pick out a mark on this case. So you're going to see suspect 1. He goes over, and he says something to suspect 2, who's just sitting on the bench. That's what's pretty infuriating about this whole thing, is suspect 2 just sits there the whole time. Well, now they've marked Xander as the guy they're going to go after. But, you know, even looking at this video, it doesn't seem like they were there to rob him. They only went after his phone. What are you going to do with a phone anyway, with all the security that people have? Seems to me he just wanted to violently beat down somebody. So now watch as he goes by him, and he is just going to post up. This guy's a predator. Now, Xander said he was looking at his phone. He likes to read some of the comments. He's just going through it like so many people do nowadays. He had no idea about what was about to happen, that there was this violent maniac right behind him, and then bam, right in the face. Now, Xander says everything's a little fuzzy about what happened. He can remember being hit, knocked down, dragged over into the street. And up until this point, Xander hasn't seen this video. He's probably watching it with us tonight. He's very lucky he wasn't killed. You can get a head injury and have traumatic brain injury. Lots of terrible things can happen. Now, he threw his phone trying to get the guy just to get away from him. Finally, he said that trash can there was what saved him because he was able to reach up. And then there you can see that second suspect. He gets up. Well, he clearly is part of this. Otherwise, he would have gotten involved and helped Xander. And then he stops this Good Samaritan from coming over. Well, Xander pulled himself up using that trash can. He kind of stumbles away. Remember, his nose is broken here. He's all bashed up. There's blood running down his face. He has no idea what just happened. And he's trying to get some help. So he's going to turn around and he's going to head down going back north. He said he couldn't believe he looked back and the two suspects are just standing there. Well, Xander goes off and he gets a Good Samaritan to help him call 911. And he said thank you to that Good Samaritan who was willing to let him call the police. And once he had the police on the way, you're going to see that these guys, they don't care. They're just going to stand around there. I don't know if they're waiting for a bus or waiting for somebody else to come along and rob and beat. So both of them are right there. Now, what's going to happen next is you're going to see Xander coming back with the Good Samaritan. They're walking back to the scene because he knows now police are on the way. Suspect 1 is going to look over and he's going to see Xander walking toward him with this other man. And then suspect number 1 is going to say, you know what, I'm out of here. Meanwhile, suspect number 2, you can see him communicating there. He's just going to hang out on the bench and act like he had no part of it. Well, here comes Xander and the other guy, and then there's suspect 1. He takes off, but the cameras around the building catch him running, and you can catch how he runs here. You can see his stride, and you can see there he goes, taking off like a little old coward. So he's willing to take on somebody who couldn't fight back and blindside him, but he's just going to run like this. Oh my goodness. You know, I looked up the definition of lowlife in the dictionary. It says a despicable person, especially a degenerate or immoral person. If you look up scumbag, it is defined as a contemptible or objectionable person. You combine lowlife and scumbag and you get despicable, contemptible, degenerate. Your Honor, I rest my case. Well, this armed robber was well disguised by a beanie and a medical mask when he hit a gas station in Mukilteo last week. So it's his voice that detectives are really hoping you can hone in on to help get him identified tonight. So listen as he threatens the clerk at gunpoint. This is at the AM/PM on Harbor Point Boulevard Southwest, just after 9 last Friday night, March 13th.
Open it right now. Open it. Please. There we go. Get down. Get down. Get down right now.
Well, he took off with the cash from the register, he left the store, and he ran off west towards Cyrus Way. Detectives say he's black, in his 20s, around 6 feet tall. He was armed with a blue steel semi-automatic handgun. He wore a black jacket, a tan beanie, and gray pants with black stitching in the rear above the pockets.
We're just asking for anyone who has any information to contact us. We'll do everything we can to make sure that that contact is anonymous. But the most important thing is to get this individual off the street before he perpetrates another crime, or even in the sense of having a weapon, feels comfortable enough to escalate a situation where someone could possibly get hurt. So the main thing we want to do is get him identified, get him arrested, and stop this activity.
Get down. Get down. Get down right now.
Again, this is in Mukilteo. If you recognize his voice or anything about him that you think could help police identify him, you will stay anonymous when you submit a tip to Crime Stoppers of Puget Sound, and you will cash in. Use the P3 Tips app on your cell phone that you can download for free, or call 1-800-222-8477. There's a cash reward of up to $1,000 if you know this guy. All right, it's time to help King County Sheriff's detectives identify a couple of bold beauty store bandits. The guy in the Cleveland Indians hat and the gal with him, detectives say she had jewels on her canine teeth, came into the Ulta store in Covington on Friday, March 13th, with no intention of buying anything.
The female filled a bag full of all sorts of merchandise from the Ulta store. Actually equaled about $1,500 worth of merchandise from the store. She then handed the bag off to the male that she was with, and both of them walked out the door without making any attempt to pay for anything. And we have a feeling that they're responsible for some other shoplifts in the area as well. It's very possible they're just driving around and hitting location to location, and we need the public's help to figure out who they are. Yeah, we want this. I mean, this is not a simple petty theft with just one item. We're talking about large quantity of items, a large quantity of merchandise from the store, and we're hoping to be able to identify who these two suspects are to get them behind bars, because again, this isn't happening just at one location. We have a feeling it's happening at multiple locations.
In fact, detectives say this same couple hit the Ulta store in Lakewood the same day. These are organized retail thieves that won't stop unless you can help get them identified. Detectives say the two suspects left the Covington store in a dark blue or black mid-2000s Volvo S60 that they unfortunately could not make out the license plate number on. Detectives say the guy is in his 30s. He's 5'9" with a medium build. He's got a cross tattoo under his right eye. The woman is believed to be in her 20s or 30s, 5'10", stocky build. And again, she had those jewels on her teeth. If you can identify them, or especially if you can tell detectives where to find them, an address, a way to contact them, any of that great information to help locate them, you will remain anonymous and get a cash reward of up to $1,000. Submit it to Crime Stoppers of Puget Sound through the P3 Tips app. Well, that's a look at some of the cases that police need your help to solve this weekend. I hope you'll join me for the rest tonight on Washington's Most Wanted at 11 o'clock on Q13 Fox, and Saturday night at 9:30 on Joe TV and 10:30 on Q13. Also airs at 10:30 on Fox stations in Spokane, Yakima, and the Tri-Cities. Let's make sure these criminals have nowhere left to hide. You're stuck inside. You're isolating. Watch that TV. If you recognize those suspects, let's get you that cash reward money. They're going to get caught. You might as well get paid.